All right, welcome to our next video in the Level 4A Rhythm series. Today we're looking at number 4. And before we get into number 4, I want to talk about a concept that is very important in music. So, up until you get to level 4A, we're pretty much in 4/4 time. What that means is that the quarter note gets the beat. Now, if we were to further subdivide or break down that beat, we would say 2 eighth notes would fit into each of those quarter notes. Okay. So when we're dividing that beat, everything's pretty much in multiples of 2. Okay. This is very important. So when we divide things in multiples of 2, we have a word to describe this. When the beat is divided into multiples of 2, we call this time simple time. Okay. Now, we're talking about 6/8 time. Now, we talked about how a dotted quarter note can fit 3 eighth notes in it. Okay. So notice that there's 3 in the dotted quarter note. Yeah, that makes sense. But when we're counting in 6/8 time, I've mentioned that I usually don't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 the whole time. That's just, it's difficult to count. That's technically the beat. But what we often do is we group these in groups of 3 and we get something called the macro beat. A macro comes from the phrase, it comes from that, a macro beat basically just means big, okay? So a micro beat would be small. So we're talking about the macro beat here. And notice that the macro beat is not divided into groups of 2. It's actually divided into groups of 3. So whereas when we divide the beat into 2, it was called simple. When we divide the macro beat into 3, we actually describe this as compound. Okay. So what you will hear is some time signatures are described as simple and some are described as compound. So if this is a compound beat, we also need to figure out how big or how many macro beats will we have in the measure. So we do that by taking the top number 6 and dividing it by the compound beat, which is the 3. Divide 6 by 3, you get 2 macro beats. Okay, so we have 2 macro beats in this measure in number 4, and let's see how that applies. So we have a 1 here, 4 there. We will put in our numbers there as well. So when we're counting, we're still going to put all the numbers, but this is pretty important. When we count in 6/8, we always want to be aware of that macro beat. Okay, so let's go ahead and hear what this sounds like. I'll clap and count this 4 times in a row. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. That actually almost sounds, the clapping sounds almost identical to if I had a 2/4 measure with 2 quarter notes. Well, now we haven't really talked about 2/4, but it's basically 4/4, but there's only 2 beats in the measure, so it's pretty easy to understand. This literally would sound pretty much the same, except for the numbers different. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then the 6/8 one was 1, 4, 1, 4. So really what's different is how we subdivide the beat. In the 6/8 one, you would hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the 2/4 one, you would just hear 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So they have a slightly different feel. So that's your explanation of simple and compound time, and that's also how we would clap and count number 4. Thank you for watching this video. The next video will be clapping and counting all the way from 1 to 4, and I'll see you on the next one.